Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Joe.
I'm Parker.
John McAfee died,
Yeah, fucking antivirus,
the
man.
tech entrepreneur. This one's fishy. I will never look at that McAfee, your computer is clear of viruses pop up the same way ever again.
Yeah.
It's a whole new way to it, dude. It was just doo doo, and then I just wouldn't pay attention. I'd be like, fuck out of here.
No, I never liked the McAfee antivirus in the first place because when I started using computers, it was already the time that he like sold it. I think.
Are you a Norton, dude?
Isn't that kind of the same thing?
I don't think so.
I'm at nothing. I just fucking am not stupid. I don't download shit, and then I just go through
I don't know
and
if I'd just say that on.
no. Like I know, I know what to download and what to not. I have an ad blocker, so I don't actually go to any fishy websites. Have a CC cleaner that goes through, and I do run an antivirus thing, but it never comes up.
Well, this dude he suicided himself. It's one of those
That
again.
wasn't that one of his tweets. He said like, "I'm getting a strong feeling from the U.S. government that we're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to kill yourself." that's
Uh,
that's what he tweeted out. I
are you
think.
serious?
Yeah. He goes, getting
You,
subtle messages from US officials saying, in effect, we're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to kill yourself. I got a tattoo just in case if I suicide myself. I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm. And that's when he got that schwacked with the money sign on his arm.
damn.
Yeah.
You think that he was just kind of using an opportunity of being because they were coming after him for tax evasion charges, right? So you know how these very wealthy people are, they can get you could have the paranoia effect, or maybe he wanted to make it look like that or something.
Well, that's what I was thinking
Then
too.
again,
Because
I
it's
don't know,
like
in a Spanish jail somewhere, that's not even like who the fuck knows
true.
what happened.
True. What I was thinking is like, what happens if? Because I don't really know his past or who he really is as a person, but why wouldn't he just start? He seems like a fucking troll to begin with, right? Like a trolly type
He
person.
kind of seems wild. Like
Yeah, like
he's
like
just not conventional to what you would think
yeah.
a
So why wouldn't
sweater vest wearing.
yeah? So why wouldn't he just post it or put out a tweet saying some shit like that and then go and kill himself to just start a bunch of conspiracies?
Yeah, right. Why not? Because
Why?
he's like, I'm 75. This
Yeah.
shit's getting boring. I'm tired of my yacht. They're gonna get me for tax evasion anyway. Might as well pull a goofy, you know?
Unless there was, and then I mean, then there's where the conspiracy comes because it's like unless there was like he was in some other shit that nobody knows about, like whatever, you know. But it's like, and I'm not sure. It's fishy for sure.
He retired to Belize, and then in 2011, he uncovered a government plot to kill him. He fled to Guatemala. Then he was named a person of interest in the death of his neighbor.
So do you think he went a little bit?
I don't know. What if it was just like a missed hit? What if they got his neighbor instead of him? But
Yeah.
the U.S. government is pretty precise. I'd have to assume, judging by all the movies I've seen.
Where was he living?
I don't know if that
Because did
was
they outsource the
Belize or
assassination?
Guatemala. Yeah, did they outsource it to some fucking guy that screwed it up? But then again, I also gotta believe that U.S. hitmen assets
Wouldn't.
are also top notch, right?
Yeah, they wouldn't even. They would just send somebody of their own out, you know. But he was committed to the schwack time,
Said
but
taxes were illegal and that he hadn't paid taxes in 8 years.
dude, I'm looking at another tweet of his on January 18th, 2020. Since you asked, I have 47 children, 61 grandchildren, 19 grandchildren, or great grandchildren. I have met none of my great grandchildren.
Is that a flex? Is he
I
flexing?
don't know, bro. Is it a flex? Fuck him. That's kind of mean on both parts. I don't know. It is definitely a little fishy.
Yeah, I found another thing. In 2012, McAfee briefly vanished after fleeing his home in Belize because local police tried to question him on the death of his neighbor. He has denied involvement in the death and claimed he fled because he feared for his life. He spent time in Guatemala and then moved to Montreal, Canada, where he worked on a documentary about his life. He ran for U.S. president in 2016 as a libertarian.
Could be like some paranoia setting in.
Weird stuff with the high level business people, secret societies, and all this stuff. I guess they realize that they have so much. It's like when people say take control of your own life, right? Work hard and everything. These are people that have taken so much control and worked so hard to get their life to where they are at, possibly. And they're so kind of that they're just like, why don't we just do all this weird shit? Because why not? Let's see what else we can change. You know, what if we got all the top people to do this?
I don't know
It's
what
just
that
all
is.
those secret, weird get togethers. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything
Well, yeah,
going on. Because also those top level people, maybe they just want, a lot of them are company owners. Maybe they just want to like sell products to each other.
it's
It's
yeah.
like
Imagine
it's like a beta or alpha test or whatever of products. Unless they're trying to
fucking
take
burning an
over the
owl.
world, I think
Yeah,
people have a right to break it open and look in there, and I also think they have a right to do it as long as it's not hurting anybody. Because it's like
well,
how
because
good,
it's
it's
like a
like a little
Burning Man.
game.
Yeah, it's like a Burning Man type thing. Or yeah, a little game of cat and mouse
Yeah, cat and
chasing each
mouse.
other.
It's like, hey, we're gonna do this secret society. Let's see how long it
It
takes
gives
these dumbass reporters to figure it out. And then even when they do figure it out, it's gonna be so goofy that they're not even gonna.
it's just giving
People aren't
us
gonna believe them.
it's just giving us a real world reality TV
Yeah, they're not all
show.
trolls. They just probably want to get weird in a rich way. It's always sexual, man. It can't ever be like drugs or like, oh, he's a
Well,
gun
because I mean,
runner
if you
or he
think
was. It's
maybe, yeah, I don't know. It is weird. We got nothing else to worry about other than like reproduction now. So everyone's like, you know, we don't have to worry about our fucking own like physical survival. So let's just like, yeah, extend the human species.
Well, people talk about some shit like it's so out of this world, but why not question things? You know, people are like, oh, it's so weird that the government is trying to do like, just be like, well, that's an idea. Why don't we just test it out, but don't tell anybody because the means by what we're doing this, people won't understand.
Yeah.
Same with back in the day, 1,000 years ago. Do you think like the kings and when somebody new landed, like when the Vikings went to England for the first time, don't you think that after a while, the top, like it was blasphemy or whatever to question religion? But I think maybe they got together and they questioned, well, you believe in what? Well, we believe in this thing. Well,
Yeah.
what do you think? Well, why? I think the top people that could handle entertaining a thought but not accepting it were the ones that have to secretly question things because then people freak out if you did that in real life. And then after a while, stuff comes along and then society changes, right? But the first people may have to do this shit in secret. It sounds like I'm defending odd practices, but I
Ritualistic
think you know what
things.
I'm saying. Like
Yeah. I
people
mean,
have to, a lot of people can't handle certain shit. Like a lot of them, you people talk about the masses. Who knows if we'd be able to handle some of this information? I mean, the truth is wild. You know what I mean? It could drive some people to
well,
madness.
and it's like perfecting a recipe. You know, you're gonna go through 17 different chocolate chip cookie recipes before you find the perfect one that you enjoy, and then that's when you let it out. I mean, 17's a little high, but like you want to
Exactly.
get something perfect out
But
before
people catch a glimpse of you putting like a Twix
vanilla
bar
in
in
it.
the,
Yeah,
yeah, or granola in the mix, and they're like, "What the fuck is he doing? That's weird." Hey, and then they try and break the story, but they don't really know you're making cookies, but you're trying to new. They don't really know what's
yeah.
going on.
And it's like,
So it
wait,
could be that, or it could be that you're trying to put poison in cookies, and someone catches you doing that. You know, it could be bad.
yeah, it definitely could be bad.
So that's what I'm saying. I think you should do it, but if you're good at keeping it a secret, you win, you know, because we don't know about it. It's
It's
like the
like
best bank
I
robbery
was
or
just about
whatever,
to say
right?
it.
We don't
Yeah.
know about it. So if you get that, then you got your right. But all the ones that got caught, you got to give it to the reporters because they won that one.
Yeah.
When you get up to these levels, I think that because of people like Post Malone, we were talking about, or all these famous people vlogging their lives, we see more of what their life is like. So it's kind of not as crazy anymore.
Yeah, it's naturalized.
But you're never
And
gonna
then
see these billionaire lifestyles
because
in
that's
vlogs
not how
because
they
they
got
don't
there.
do that. That's like the new frontier
I
thing.
feel like it's also for like celebrities, actual celebrities, not like fucking CEOs and just billionaires from being billionaires, just money billionaires. So it's harder for them to hide a lot of their life. So a lot of the big conspiracies could almost be it's like what's that thing called when some like the judge asks you, where were you on the night of uh
An alibi.
alibi, yeah. It's like I feel like that you could find more alibis, and I'm not saying celebrities are. Look how many fucking celebrities are getting caught with a bunch of random, like not random, but a bunch of gross shit and a bunch of weird shit. So it's still always possible. It's still probably always going to happen, but a lot of more younger artists because of social media and Instagram, they have an alibi for a lot of shit because it's probably documented somewhere that Like they tweeted out at fucking 10:45, damn, this fucking Wendy's is good or some shit.
But we look at the celebrity lives and even celebrities that are billionaires. If you look at these people that are multi-billionaires around the world and they get together and they run corporations and countries and all this wild stuff, and some of them may even be Hollywood people and things like that. But we all know you have the powerful people get together. But those people, the shit that they're doing, if we were in that position, we might not think was that weird because of what it took to get to that position. So,
Yeah,
like, it's not like you're
naturally.
just dropped in there where they see their daily life. It took them 30, 40 years to get to that position. They've been doing it. So, to them, it's another day.
High level people.
People see that, and a lot of people don't even want that life. Why would you? So it's not like people are not high
Privacy,
level
bro.
either. It's just people fit in different places. They look at that and they're like, fuck that. I don't want that. I just want to live in a quaint place
People
somewhere.
have different high level interests.
Yeah, people have different levels that they want to operate with too. Some people don't want their whole life to be their career. They spread out their time between. They want a more of a balance. I mean, people are different. It doesn't mean that they're it's like Michael Jordan and Drake. Who's better? It's like it's cool to see what other humans come up with, but what I come up with is going to be cool too. Bring something to the table so that you can enjoy everybody else's food and not feel guilty about not bringing anything kind of type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Bring something.
The cookout.
Cook out.
What? Oh, the block party.
Block party.
Bro, block parties is such a suburb. Not even probably. I mean, I never really lived like in. Not every year. It wasn't like an annual thing. When it's an annual thing, that's when you know you too close to your neighbors.
Yeah, right.
You know all of them and their middle names.
I'm
It's like
on
that's
some pull into my garage and then hit the thing, hit the garage door button before I even get out of the car. Type
bro.
shit.
At my mom's house down here, I'm on like her driveway is just pure out, right? Because the garage is detached and in the back in the alleyway. So I have to like pull up, and then the neighbor was mowing the lawn, and I was like, "Oh, hey," and I had to wave. So it was a little awkward, but you
No,
know,
I'm joking. I'm closer with my neighbors because like when you're cutting the grass, they're gonna be out there.
yeah, yeah, of course.
Especially how long you live there. But it's not like, hey, come over to have a drink or come over to the pool. It's
No,
like,
that
hey,
was
how are you? I was friends when I was little, but some of those people moved, some of them grew up. So it's like
when I was little, I lived in a duplex. So I was friends with my duplex neighbors, right? Like the attached house. So I was friends with them, and like the parents were friends and shit. And so that was always thing. But I was friends with all the kids. But then, well, now that I'm thinking about it, I only knew really my side. If that, because like my side was all duplex houses, and the other side was all just actual houses. So I knew some of the people on the other side, but not really. So you got down past like two houses, you didn't know anybody.
my neighborhood was a bunch of blocks that ended in cul-de-sacs. So I knew like my cul-de-sac, my entire block, the block over. Cause when you're little, your neighborhood's as far as you can go because your parents are like, be home before the street light comes
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
not like, plus you're 8, 9. So I knew everybody because people be at old people, families with no kids. It doesn't matter because you get like together with like the 4 or 5 kids in your neighborhood. And you just ride your bikes around and talk to everybody. There'd be old people. We just talk to them. We're just bored.
Bro, my neighborhood was like set up weird because it wasn't a cul-de-sac, but you know where the Ace Hardware is, right by the Jewel Osco?
Yeah, the way the recruiting office
Yep,
is.
yep. And my neighborhood was on the back of that strip mall. That's where my childhood neighborhood was. So it was like it was a street that started to curve, and around that curve, we never really went around that curve other than to get like to soccer fields. And so I knew nobody down that like down the curve street, but right at the curve part, I knew the family that lived there because they were friends with my grandma that would live two doors down from me. So I guess that was also why a lot of my block was it wasn't family, but it was like one of them was family, and then my grandma knew all the fucking adults. So I just knew them through that. It wasn't like I was just like
I wonder how many of those people were smoking weed back then. 2008, 2009.
now.
Yeah, now,
Oh
now.
yeah, now
Because they've
it's
been
legal.
probably doing it before. Not necessarily those names. I'm over exaggerating again, but there's just people are more open with it.
Well, yeah, I mean when I first got
Fucking
my
smoking more than they're drinking.
when I first got my med card, like my medical cannabis card, it was I walked into the dispensary the first time, and I took a look around, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is like the most diverse group of people I've ever seen." It was like, "What the fuck? Everyone smokes weed, bro. It's crazy." But back in 2008, I think I could ask my dad, but I don't know if he was like smoking weed because I know he smokes a little bit of weed here and there. But I know one of my mom's boyfriends a while back in like 2011, 2012. He would be smoking weed in the garage, and I had no fucking clue. And he had like a whole weed station. My mom finally told me that like when we moved out of that house and I was old enough because I was like almost 18 at the time, so she just told me it, and I was like, what? Because as a kid, you can't fucking remember smells. You can remember shit, but if he hid it all well, I'm not gonna go snooping through. Not like I knew what a fucking grinder looked like or knew what it was. But
Well,
it's
if your
weird.
parents have corporate jobs, sometimes they stop like for 5, 6 years, but they
Oh
always
yeah.
get a one hitter lying around somewhere. You just gotta find
Well,
it.
you think like I remember first like talking to my dad because when I first started smoking weed, this was by the time my dad like moved out, kind of like away from me because like I moved down here, and so we were just kind of far away. So I was visiting him for like a week or something, and I'm there, and I'm like, hey, do you got any like weed? And he was like, yeah, and he's like, follow me, and I follow him. He just brings down this whole entire, not a big box, but like a small little tub, you know, like I don't know what like a quart tub or some shit. I don't know what the fuck to call it. But he pulls it down and it's just full of like he has like 3 1 hitters of fucking papers. Like I was like, what the fuck?
Exactly. You're
And
like,
then
who are you?
and
You
then I
get it when
asked
you
him,
turn 18, you get a
yeah.
whole new version of your parents.
And then you learn all the family secrets too. And you're
Right,
like,
yeah. But at that point, it's too little too late because you don't care.
yeah. Well, but also then it's like, oh, that makes sense.
It's like you played that one song. How does that go?
Uh,
The
I care way too much about me to give a fuck about you.
exactly.
Yeah,
There's like 4 people, and by care about you means I will try and help you solve your problems versus just listening to them. There's like
yeah.
4 or 5 people on this planet that I feel that way about. But I'm thinking about how to save myself here,
Yeah,
man.
I'm not gonna dive into your like I'm not gonna dive into your brain and try and pick at it to help you. You know, like I'll you know, like I'm not opposed to it. Help you and shit, but
I mean, if there's a
I would rather
car coming,
physically
I'll
help
pull you
you.
out of the way, but
Yeah, I'd rather physically help you than mentally help
because
you because that
I
puts
don't
a
know
toll
what the
on
fuck
me
I'm doing
too.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absorb. I know you're supposed to just observe, but I get
Oh,
10 minutes later, I'm like, hey, life's pretty good.
because you dive deep into it and you think of like because especially if you get like 5 different like well, this happened, and then like this happened, and then like that, and this is why that, and you know, you get like those, and you
It's
like think
weed.
about
We're
each one.
overthinking, which is a good thing in some places because you can have breakthroughs, but also you got to learn how to reel your mind back and you're like, focus.
Bro, I was at work yesterday, and I came forward, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, because they were like, they were just talking, and I wasn't like feeling the best, and I'm still not like stomach wise, you know, Crohn's gang, and so I'm just kind of like in my zone, and they're talking, they kind of feel bad for me, and they're like talking, and then they say like, right, Parker, and I'm like, huh, and I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really am just in my zone back here. When you guys are talking, chit chattering to yourself, I'm not paying attention. That's what I told them because I didn't want because like I was also kind of not pissed off, but I was just in that sick mode, you know, where you're just like tired. You don't like they're like, do you want us to be quiet? And it's like, no, I don't want you to accommodate me. I don't care.
Just don't talk to me.
Leave me alone. If you actually need me, hey Parker, can you go and do that? Yeah, I'll do. When you're counting, you know, you're like 1, 2, 3, or whatever. You're like 732, and then you add up 772 or whatever. And then somebody's like, hey, what about this? And you're like, fuck. Sometimes I care about so I can because especially if it's at a new job, but if it's months down the line and you know everybody, then it's like okay, I don't care. But if it's new, you listen. At least like here at my new job, I'm listening. Like who's getting mad at who does what, because then I know how to act around people.
I don't even do that. I form my own opinions of people.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't give
so
a
do
shit.
I.
People will tell me on the first day, oh, this person's an asshole, and it turns out that they're the asshole. I listen to everybody and I take it into account. I try and be objective when I meet new people, but if they're talking about inner work bickering and I'm focusing on
Mhm.
something, or if I'm always thinking about my life, like most people are. You think most about yourself.
Well,
However, sometimes you gotta listen because some shit just is so messed up. It piques your attention. You're like, oh, all right. And then you waddle over there. You sit on the outskirts for a minute. And then you get in. You're like, hey, so who we talking about? Who?
yeah,
Who?
yeah.
And then they're like, Steve. And you're like, oh, okay. And then you blend in back into the crowd.
And
just
you
like,
turn
"Hey."
around back to doing whatever the fuck you're
Yeah.
doing.
And you're like doing it, but you got ears open, bro.
Oh yeah, of
You're
course.
like, you always.
I think I'm kind of always ears open at work, especially just like they're always talking about some shit about because there's like a bunch of people just coming in and out of work, so I'm always listening. But there is always some fucked up shit that really gets your interest.
That's what I'm
That you're
saying. It's
like,
like when you're watching a show and you're on your phone and you hear that thing that snaps you back to the show. You're like, wait, what? So like but there's some people that are just like, and then she went over there.
She grabbed the fucking cereal
Yeah,
off the
and-
shelf and
wow.
put it on the floor.
It's like, that's not intense. I want to hear. She walked up to the manager and threw the box at her. I'm like, whoa, who?
wait, what?
Yeah.
And then they say the name, and you're like, oh, yeah, that makes some sense, huh?
Yeah.
There's always, and then there's always those coworkers. I always injure myself at work. You know how it be. Yeah.
Lawsuit hunting.
Yeah, some workers comp.
Peace.
Deuces.